Hello and welcome to the Learning Love Podcast, brought to you by the Learning Love Foundation, helping people transform how they love, live, and lead. I'm your host, Dr. Mark A. Hicks, and I want to thank you for joining us today as we spend some time learning love. Love is the answer. Now all we have to do is explore all the questions. And today's question is one that is a little bit difficult for a lot of people. A lot of relationships and a lot of marriages struggle with this one. And that is, how do we bring up a topic that we know is going to be difficult? How do we bring up something that's been bothering us, something that we're upset about? How do we bring that up and discuss it without causing a fight? This can be tricky. This can be a difficult road to navigate. And because it is, sometimes we just sort of go with our gut. Sometimes we just go with our instincts because we really don't know what to do. So we go with what feels right. And that is not always the best way to go. There are some things that people do that are basically instinctual. They make a certain level of sense, but they just don't work. And they cause more harm than good. And so today we're going to talk about a couple of bad habits that a lot of people are in, very common ways that people approach this that just don't work, that are not at all helpful. And then we'll talk about a better plan. We'll talk about some ways to go about it that might actually be helpful and get you to a better place. Now, a couple of things that people do that are not good ideas. One is, if we've got something on our minds that we want to bring up that we know is going to be sensitive, that could potentially cause a fight, well, we don't want to mess up a good day, do we? We don't want to bring that up when things are peaceful, when we're watching a movie or having a nice dinner, when things are going well. We don't want to bring it up then. Why mess up a good day? And we don't want to bring it up when we're busy, got things to do with the kids and chores around the house and dealing with work stuff. And, if you bring it up then, it's not going to go very well because, hey, you're busy. And particularly if you're getting things done and being productive, you don't want to get in the way of that. And so it seems to make sense that we would just sit on it. Just wait. Just hold it in. Don't say anything. Act like everything's okay. And just wait till the next fight starts. This is what people do. I actually had someone tell me that, to say it out loud one time. They were fussing about someone in their family, and they were just really upset about it. And I said, "Well, what kind of plan do you have to discuss this?" And she said, "Well, I'm going to wait till the next fight starts and then I'm going to hit them with it." Well, that's a bad idea. Okay. I can see the logic behind it, that you don't want to mess up a good day. And hey, if we're fighting anyway, well, let's just bring everything out. The problem is that doesn't work. Okay. Let's say your spouse is in a bad mood. They say something snippy and they complain about something you did. And then you come back with, "Well, what about when you did this?" And you hit them with it because you've just been waiting. You just had that one loaded for a while that you can just let it out as soon as the fight starts. Even though it has absolutely nothing to do with the thing they just brought up, well, then it's on. Now it's just everybody's unloading everything they've been upset about for the last week or 2 weeks or month or year, whatever it might be. And that's why we get to the next day and think, what were we fighting about? What was all that about? You just jump from one topic to one topic to another topic to another topic and never really settle anything because you're just given the laundry list of stuff that you've been holding on to, waiting for the next fight to start. Well, that's not a conversation. That's just emotionally hitting one another and bringing up a laundry list of topics and never addressing any of them. That's not how we fix things. Nothing gets addressed that way. And so it makes a certain level of sense that you don't want to mess up a good day. So just wait till there's a bad day, wait till there's a fight and bring it up then. But we don't really settle anything that way. We just end up fighting about the same thing over and over. The next strategy that seems to be popular with a lot of people is I'll just let them figure it out. I'll drop some hints, I'll drop some attitude, and let them know that there is something wrong and they need to be figuring it out. I'm not going to tell them, I'm not going to bring this up because I don't want to start a fight, but I'm going to let them know I'm not very happy and they just need to figure it out on their own. I shouldn't have to tell them. And so that's when we do the thing of, I'm fine. Are you sure you're fine? Yes, I'm fine. Seems like something's wrong. No, nothing's wrong. When obviously something's wrong. Or we do that thing of taking cheap shots, sarcastic remarks, snide remarks towards our spouse, saying those little digs just to let them know that they're not in good standing with us, that we're not very happy with them, that we're angry with them, but we're not going to tell them why because we don't want to bring something up and start a fight. And we just let them know that we're not happy so that they can figure it out. Because the idea is if I let them know I'm not happy, they'll think through it. They'll figure out what they did, then they can fix it, and I won't have to bring it up and risk starting a fight. Again, I can kind of see the logic behind it. You don't want to start a fight, but you are upset. So you're letting them know your emotions and, you know, maybe they can figure it out on their own and you won't have to go to all the trouble of explaining it to them. And the backdrop behind that is they should know. They should know what they did. Well, here's the problem with that they don't know what they did. Okay. You can say all day long that they should know, they don't. They just don't. And even if they might know, how are they going to know for sure if you're not telling them? They could go through every conceivable possibility of things they might have said or done wrong. But hey, we've all got a list of a mile long of things we might have done or said wrong, things that might have been miscommunicated, things that might have been a misstatement, but we just don't know unless somebody tells us. And so it's a fallacy to think, well, they should know. They don't. Maybe you're convinced they should, but the reality is they don't. And so now what you're doing is just taking cheap shots and sarcasm and withdrawing and setting distance between you for no real accomplishment because they don't know what they did. No matter how many times you hint, no matter how many times you take cheap shots and show them you're angry and come back and say you're fine, they don't know what they did. It's not going to settle anything. So, those are two ways that people try to address it without actually addressing it. And then there's the direct way. And very often you're going to see this in relationship advice. You're going to have people tell you you need to bring it up, but you need to bring it up gently. You need to use things like I statements. Don't come and say, we need to talk, and just start griping about what somebody did. Instead, say, there's something that's been on my mind. There's something that I've been thinking about. And honestly, it's been bothering me quite a bit. And I just feel like I need to share it with you. I would just like to talk through it. And so, in that way, you're making I statements. You're not accusing them. You're not attacking them. You're saying about how you feel. That can be really helpful. That can work in a lot of relationships. Although I'm not convinced that for everyone it's completely realistic. If that's the kind of relationship that you can have and you're good at that and you can sit down and say, hey, let's talk through something because I have had something on my mind that I want to share with you because it's just been bothering me and I would like us to talk through it. That's good. That's a good thing if you can do that. Um, it works. That's a great way of approaching a relationship. And I think it would be Great if all of us work toward that level of communication. That's pretty advanced, though. Okay, that's pretty advanced. And not everyone is there yet. Not everyone has that level of communication skill in their relationship. You might actually be able to say something like that, but if you're married to someone that tends to be kind of defensive, they might get defensive because they still see it coming. Even if you're saying it more gently, even if you're saying it in such a way that is not an attack, that you're making it about you and I statements, and you're making about yourself and your feelings and how you want to share for the sake of the relationship. Some people get really defensive anyway. And so, if you're to that level of advanced communication, then go for it. That's what you need to do. Sit down, have a real conversation. That's great. But if you aren't there yet, there needs to be kind of a bridge between these things that are not helpful, just sitting on it, waiting for the next fight, or letting them figure it out because you've shown that you're angry. Those kind of things just don't work. Real communication does work, but it's pretty advanced. Okay. It's not easy in relationships to have that kind of heart to heart conversation. And so if you're not there yet, don't beat yourself up. I think there's kind of a bridge in between the two. And that is sit on it for a little while, but don't wait for the next fight. Wait for them to do something right in that area. Wait for them to kind of get it at least a little bit right. For instance, let's say you have a spouse who is always late, and that just wears on your nerves. You really wish they would be on time, and it makes you feel like you're being disrespected, that your time is not valuable, that when they tell you that they're going to meet you at a certain time and then they are consistently late, it just makes you feel like you're not being valued, like they don't appreciate your time, like they're just taking you for granted. And it really bothers you. And you would like to bring it up and share your feelings, but you know that they're pretty defensive about that. They've been fussed at before for being late, and they don't really want to hear it. That's kind of just part of their nature. They tend to run late. And so if you bring it up, you know it's going to kind of be a fight. And if you wait till the next fight and say, well, yeah, but you're always late, and I just think that's disrespectful. Okay, well, you got it out, but you're not going to solve it that way. Wait for them to be on time for once, or at least closer to on time. Even if they don't get it exactly right, they're a little closer to on time than usual, and compliment that. Make a big deal about it. If they usually run 20 minutes late and they manage to get there 10 minutes late, thank them. Make a big deal about it. Let them know you appreciate that they are there closer to on time. When you tell them, I really do appreciate that you got here almost on time. You're just a little bit late today, and I really appreciate that. It makes me feel like you value my time more when you show up like this, even if you're a little bit late, that it's closer to on time. And that really means a lot to me. It shows me that you're trying to get there on time because you're closer than usual. And I really appreciate that. It really makes me feel more valued when you make the effort to get there on time. Even if you're not perfect at it, you're making the effort to get closer to on time. And you did that today, and I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. The thing is, people like being appreciated. People like being bragged on. People like it when you tell them how they're getting it right, and when you appreciate their effort, even if they're not perfect. And so rather than bring up, you're always late, and that drives me crazy. It makes me feel like you don't value me or my time. It feels disrespectful. If you know that's just going to cause a big fight, and you know that you're not to the place in your relationship where you can sit down and just have a rational conversation about it. And again, while it may sound easy, it's pretty advanced to do that. If you're not there yet, a good bridge is to find them doing it right or a little closer to right. It doesn't have to be perfect to be appreciated. And so let them know you appreciate it. Let them know, I really feel good about your effort here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can see you made some effort today because you were closer to on time than you normally are, and I really appreciate that. Again, people like to be bragged on. People like to get things right. And so find them doing something right in that area that's been upsetting you, or a little closer to right, and let them know. That's a little easier than sitting down and having a heart to heart, deep conversation. And it's a lot more effective than just waiting till the next fight starts or waiting for them to figure it out because you're being sarcastic and taking cheap shots. People like to be appreciated. So deploy that strategy. You'll probably have a lot better chance of getting what you want. And that's my thoughts this week as we are looking to build the relationships that we want, need, and deserve in our lives. I want to invite you to go to learninglovefoundation.com. The Learning Love Foundation sponsors this show. We've got a lot of great things going on. And when you go to that website, you can also find a link to purchase my book, Learning Love, Building a Life That Matters, and Healthy Relationships That Last. So go to learninglovefoundation.com. Thank you so much for listening today. Until next week, love well, everyone.